All right, so as I said yesterday, we are now going back and we have discussed certain central points in the following few lines. Now we're going to go inside. And the line begins with the word Ali De Yichud, and that's 5 lines from the bottom of Mamhei. What we've explained thus far, I'm talking about before the lines that we're starting, is that the Oilamis, for the great worlds, there had to be a yichud, a union between Ayin and Yesh, and we explained, I think quite extensively, the significance of this. V'hinei, Ha'izhavus bepoyel, He mibchinas malchus atzilus. His havus at the level of poyel, at the active level, in the action level, is from the aspect of malchus atzilus. Shezehu b'chinas ho'ayin hamorkoi liyesh. Malchus atzilus is the aspect of the ayin that is the mokoir for the yesh. That is the source for the yesh. Which just means, okay, we have all kinds of different expressions. Hopefully we're not going to get lost in it. At least if you understand it for the moment, it's also a great gain. Hayin ha-mokoir liyesh means there is the Ayin of Chochmah, and from Chochmah there is the Bina, and Bina becomes also like the Mokoir of Yesh, and there is an element of Yesh in Bina itself. The principal difference is, as Malchus is a Mokoir Yesh, is the Ayin of Mokoir Yesh means that this Ayin of Malchus, any expression, the first expression of this ayin is in a form of yesh. Like we say, the Melech gives a command. The Melech does not explain himself, does not reveal himself in a partial, in a gradual manner. The ayin itself is a moker yesh. Not like Chochmah and Bina, where Bina translates the ayin in its own way. This is the ayin ha-moker liyesh. The ayin itself is the moker liyesh. In other words, the yesh is a direct reflection of the ayin, not as in the process of Chochmah Bina, which is a union of Yichud. Bina understands the Chochmah, relates to it, and reveals what's contained in the Chochmah. This is the Ayin Hamokor L'Yesh. There is nothing in between. There is the Ayin and then the Yesh. And that is the Malchus Atzilus.
Between Chochmah and Bina, there's something in between?
Between Chochmah and Bina, there is nothing between, right? Why was all of a sudden? Bina and Chochmah are united, sure.
But I'm saying, you're making a distinction between Malchus and the Yesh versus Chochmah and Bina.
Right. Okay, let me explain. One second, let me explain. I thought it was clear. The Chochmah of Bina understands the Chochmah and relates the Chochmah. to the Chochmah. And it deciphers what's in the Chochmah. It actually explains the Chochmah. The Yesh does not explain the Malchus. The Yesh is a direct statement. There is a Melech and there is this command. The Malchus comes in the form of a command, of a directive. There is no internal union between the Yesh and the Malchus. In terms of the Yesh, understanding the Melech. The Melech does not explain himself to the Yesh. Here is what you should do, and you understand the significance of it. Not at all. You will do it only because the Melech said so. This is the Yesh that's created by the Malchus. Is that clear?
So I think, that is clear. Just one follow-up. So the Yesh does not reflect the content of the Ayin, but rather the fact that the Ayin is creating it?
Right.
Whereas Bina is actually reflecting the content of the Yesh.
Of the Ayin.
Of the Ayin.
All right. That is what we are alluding to. I mean, there's more to it, but yes, there is a correlationship. There is a union between the Bin and the Chochmah. There is not a union between the Yesh and the Malchus. There is a beetle. So the Malchus creates the Yesh. Now, this is what's called Yesh Bepoil. It's always remembered Bepoil. Bepoil means in action. As I pointed out yesterday, action means that there is not, the action itself does not reflect any spirit. The action itself does not reflect any Ayin. It is only action, plain action. It does not reflect its content, does not reflect its meaning. It reflects exclusively the fact that there is a Melech and he commanded this action. Now this is a phenomenal thing. I'd like we should understand. If the Melech, for example, says, let's conquer this land. One of the things the Rambam says, the union for the Melech is that he wages wars. Wages wars, not mountain wars, but whatever the Melech sees is justified. But so he commands his generals, let's conquer this land. Now, in this Indian, let's conquer this land, there is not a specific action. It doesn't say, do such and such. The soldier receives a command, march here, approach this, do this, shoot this direction, shoot this direction. The general, he gets a general directive, this is what we're going to do. So that's why between the general and the Melech, that's not called Yesh Bepoil, because the action is not directed by the Melech. The action is much further down. When it says his Havas Yesh Bepoil, Bepoil means at the level of action itself. We have to understand. I mean, I'm giving the marshal of a general. Ultimately, the general is only a conduit from the melech to the soldier. And the reason we obey the general is because the general has been appointed by the melech to lead this effort. But ultimately, every action is directly in obedience and directly a reflection of the fact that there is of the melech.
So the general does not obey the king?
Excuse me?
The general does not obey the king?
Of course it does.
So that's an action.
This is an action. It's not an action. The general obeys the king, but he's not given an action command. He's not saying march this way, march this way. He's given an overall thing. That's like Chochmah and Bina. He understands what has to be done. So his relationship to the king is on a different level. But how is bepoil? This is the great phenomenon over here. That we have his habus. In our world, it's very clear. We have a world that only has poil. There is a mountain, there's a rock, there is all kinds of different things, but stand for nothing, essentially, in themselves. This is the poil. Even the higher creatures that say, Tache Horus Desha, lets the earth produce vegetation. At that point, the vegetation had no significance. There were no animals to eat it. There was no human being to benefit from it. He just created vegetation. Excuse me. In addition to this, and even more concretely, and again, I'd like you to understand this. Like it says in Torah, that in Torah there are all kinds of different svoras, all kinds of different possibilities. And as a matter of fact, there's hardly a point in Torah where there is not a difference of opinions. But then there is what's called the halacha. Halacha, this is a clear statement. And that eliminates all opinion. That's it. This is halacha. A concrete thing, do it this way, this is it. This is the pshat his havos b'poyo. There is no variations. It has a specific presence. This is havos b'poyo. Now, let's understand this. In every presence, there is that which forms it, the internal makings of it, and its periphery, what it looks like. Its actual presence, it's yesh. We say in davening, Tilim, Hahorim v'chol the mountains and all the Gvois means small one, a lift rises, and so forth. A mountain is not a mountain by itself. A mountain is just an accumulation of much rock formation. Right? It's an outgrowth of rock, and it's an accumulation and so forth. The Horim are praising Hashem. The Horim and Gvois, this is the Metzias of the creation itself. That which, or what it is formed, is really part of the earth, part of the material of the earth. The actual presentation, that which we can refer to by name, I would say name, that which we can refer to by name, this is the creation of the Melech. In other words, the most external aspect, this is called Paltiel. The action is the most external element. And that is a reflection of the Melech. This most external presence is a direct reflection of the fact that there was a statement, be. It is not something which is an outgrowth of anything else. Because I was going to finish this. An outgrowth essentially is contained within itself, internal to itself. This, the amount, so to speak, that which, how it is presented, that to which we can give a name, that presence is due to an outside presence that said, this is what I want, this is what it should look like. We always give the motion of a table. A table stands because it has 4 legs, and legs are connected with this kind of planks and this kind of planks and this kind of support, this kind of support. This is what makes a table stand. That is not a table. A table is just the external result of that entire structure. When you ask a carpenter to build you a table, do you say build a table or build me something with these planks and these 4 legs? The table is the command. This is what relates it to the human being. This is called a metzias bepoil. How it's structured, that comes out of the fact that there are other things, the ingredients from which it grew us. But what relates to the human being? A human being is, as we say all the time, is a real presence, is an atzmi. What relates to the human being is just its external functionality, its external presence. And that comes as a result of a command. Doesn't come automatically.
And doesn't come via this yichud we've been looking at the whole time.
This is the yichud between the human being, the command, the malchus. I always said that the table represents the malchus of the person. The command. This is not a gradual outgrowth. This is the command from the melech, the human being, who is the melech in this case.
Is his harvest Paltiel? This is a new level of actuality, or this is the 4 worlds, the Biyah that we've been referring to the whole page?
Both. We were talking about the 4 worlds, and we explained how it comes to be. We explained the whole Seder Shtashos. First there is the Chochmah and Bina, and ultimately Paltiel, which is the ultimate creation of the world, is from Malchus. In our case, we're talking about our 4 worlds, we're talking about Malchus Atzilus. Even though there is Chochmah and Bina from Atzilus also flowing through it, but how is Paltiel, what gives it a real presence, is Malchus.
And this Yichud Tadir, this constant union between Ayin V'Yesh, does not result in Hisabas V'Poel?
No,
Uh-huh.
no, it provides for it. It doesn't result in Hisabas V'Poel.
Uh,
This is what we explained yesterday. Whatever, I don't want to go back. I mean, the whole. I want to conclude a very important point. We mentioned yesterday that the alternative way of interpreting our world that we have from the scientists, who perceive things to be in a hollow, a mokim hollow, in a hollow, is that there is an action and reaction. How do I become aware? Become aware of a table. What does a table mean to me when I see it? And it's not my table. But what do I become aware of anything? Is the fact that it obstructs my view, obstructs my movement. I can't walk through the wall. Oh, therefore there is a boulder. Or some kind of a relationship between that it has an effect on me, and this is how I perceive it. And it sounds so logical and it's so clear. But as we pointed out, that whole clarity and logic does not identify a real presence. It's all functional. We come from the Torah perspective, from the perspective of the truth. We say, no, everything has a real presence. But if it's a real presence, and it's not something that I experience, what is the means by which I become aware of it? How come it becomes real to me? In order to become real to me and I'm a separate Metzius, there has to be some kind of a action and reaction. And this is the answer. The action and reaction is that this object, that I see it, I clearly see a command of the king in this. It's here not because of itself. It's here because the king commanded it. And he commanded that I should see it. This is the action and reaction. This is what makes the world real. And not through my silly experience, but the reality of the creation itself. This is the Pshat creation. This is how it's Bepoel. That's what you said yesterday. There is no true, real presence in the world if we are not aware of a king. Because then it is just outgrowth of one thing and outgrowth of something else. Lepoel Mamash, what do we see in the world? We see in the world that everything has a presence, has a name. Every creature has every less crawling thing has a name. Has its own nature, its own presence. That's a creation that is not an outgrowth, this is a real creation. And it's an interesting thing. This is what as I'm talking about, I remembered there are such creatures, I said that, such living things, so to speak, that are not born by union between Zohar and Nekeva. They are not real things. On Shabbos, you're allowed to kill it because it's not a real living thing. It doesn't have a real presence. Okay, let's go back to the inside here. We have a couple of minutes. We can now go smoothly through. I'm going back again, and now we're going to go. V'hine, his ha was bepeil, he mibchinas machod atzilus. The Torah Beis is from the Bechin of Machod Atzilus. The Bechin of Machod Atzilus means that there's Machod Atzilus, and Machod Atzilus is what provides for these Hishavos, and it stands for it. This is the background for it. Shezer Bechinas Ho'ayin HaMokir L'yesh. This is the Ayin, which is the Mokir L'yesh. And as we said, the whole meaning of this Ayin is that it's a Mokir L'yesh. And in the Yesh, it relies on this ayin for it to be omno. Although it is true that reish is hoayin hoeleki, that the initial ayin hoeleki ho bechinas achochma. Above Chochmah is also a Lakus, but that's not called Ayin Eliki. Ayin, as we said, means that it is Ha'orah. It is not the Etzem, Atzmi. Reishis Ho'ayin Eliki is in Chochmah. Above Chochmah, it's not an Ayin. It's Etzem Holakus. Bereish is his habas hayesh ubibina, and the initial his habus. His habus comes from what hoiva, the coming to being of the yesh is in bina. What is over here? The yesh means not the poil. The yesh means that there is essentially the identity. Like we said, what is the difference between Chochmah and Bina? Chochmah has it in the form of Ayin, which means there is not a specific identity of any content. In Bina, there is a content, and it can be broken down in all kinds of different details. However, all the details in Bina are identified within the Chochmah. So the concept of Yesh is contained in Bina, but it's not a Yesh Bepeil. It is all internal to the Chochmah. The Bina, who his Havas Machshava, because Bina essentially is his Havas becoming into being at the level of Machshava. Not like a Malchus, a command, a statement in words, but Machshava in thought. And this is the big difference between Machshava and Seichel Bechlal and Chochmah, in Chochmah in general. Machshava, as we all know, that Machshava, the Machshava is really a very paradoxical image. On the one hand, Machshava, you think with words. As a matter of fact, we think in a language. But it has its own special language. If you ask somebody, repeat to me what you think, there's nothing to repeat. Why? Because Machshava is privi. Privi means it relates, it's aware of what is contained in the Chochmah itself and what's contained in the Bina itself. Not like when you speak to someone else, he doesn't know what you're thinking, and the whole information comes through the words. The Machshava is different. Machshava is taking the initial reality as it is in Chochmah and Bina and presenting it at the level that you can apply words and letters to it. But the words and letters are only containers. They are not the ones that structure it. Thus, the Ishavus in Machshava is not a real yesh like in Dibur, in speech. And in Maisa. This is the Inyan of Bina actually identifies, and Bina in a certain provides structure, but not that the structure is what enables a thing to be. It provides a structure for that which is an essential truth. And now we will interrupt for davening. Have a good day. Call to thank you.